So this is the sophomore entry from directors Danny and Michael Philippou, who previously did Talk to Me, which we reviewed on the show and really loved. I really liked that movie. Thought it was pretty scary. Bring Her Back stars siblings Andy and Piper, who are recently become foster children at the beginning of the movie after a family tragedy. They get moved in with Sally Hawkins' character Laura, who's really weird, really bizarre. She kind of is a little bit too excited about them coming into the house. She doesn't really respect their privacy. She's really kind of treating them like their own, her children. She's just an odd woman. She has her dog is stuffed or taxidermied. Just kind of weird vibes. And there's also a third child in the house named Oliver, who is mute and walks around like half naked and has this bright red scar under his eye, and is just a real weird thing. It's kind of rough with the animals. Just a weird setup, and we know things aren't quite right. And we know also from the trailers that Sally Hawkins' character is grieving the loss of someone in her life who she thinks that she can try and bring back. And these children are involved in this ritual or this plan to bring someone back that maybe should stay gone. That's our very brief setup. There's a lot going on in this, a lot of themes, some interesting stuff to talk about. Zach, what'd you think?
It's an insidious host horror, right? Bring Her Back. That's what it is. We have two people who've arrived at a house, and the host is insidious. And I think like Bring Her Back has a lot of stuff in it that actually works really good. There's a number of scenes in this that I actually think are really great and really enjoyable, and came out talking about with friends like, hey, this scene works great. This scene works great. I don't think it's better than the sum of its parts, though. What it's lacking is particularly in like the horror category. Like it's just not as spooky or like overbearing as something like Talk to Me was, and it's kind of sold that way. It's marketed like from the people who made Talk to Me. It's the next weird thing, and it's weird for sure. But it's like it has a lot more to say about like loss and like suffering, like the sudden loss of a loved one, than it does about like, ooh, scared. Like it's way more angled at one than the other. And like with that in mind, I like it. I actually did like Bring Her Back, but I don't think it is like the next great horror feature. That's not what it's trying to be. Not what it is.
So I liked the overall story that it was going for. Again, these themes of loss and grief that a lot of movies are exploring, horror movies are exploring these days, remind me of things like Hereditary and Midsummer. It is about kind of unresolved grief. We see that the main character, or the older brother character, Andy, he's the one who found their father, who had passed away, had an accident in the shower, and he's traumatized from this. He sees kind of ghosts of this. He can't take a shower because that's where he found his father in the restroom, and he's just like disturbed by it. And he's young, so he doesn't know how to process these feelings. He doesn't have access to a counselor, these sorts of things. But Sally Hawkins' character is also dealing with these similar things where she's struggling with loss herself. We see this in the dog that she has stuffed, and that's very odd that she has a hard time letting go. So I think it's a very interesting and powerful theme. But for me personally, this movie was like a little bit too bleak and brutal, and kind of unnecessarily so. It is definitely about child abuse, and there's a fair amount of it in the movie itself, which I was struggling with, and I was just like, do you really have to go there? Is it helping in terms of the story, or is it just shocking to be shocking?
Yeah, Sally Hawkins, I think, is the lightning rod at the center of this movie. She plays Laura, the mom, who's kind of taking Andy and Piper into her home. And like Hawkins, we know best from her work in like the Paddington series, right? As like the lovable mom.
Shape of Water,
Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, as this a very, very, very affable woman who's struggling. She's mute in that movie. She can't speak, but she's got this relationship that people don't understand. Like she's a lot of acting with her eyes, very emotional. Like Hawkins is so good at playing the mom who has lost a daughter. She's incredible at it. There's this monologue in the middle of this movie that's like one take. That's so great, dude, where she gets teary-eyed and she talks about like how meaningful her daughter was to her and how like she's never truly been able to let go of it. Incredible. The thing I think Hawkins struggles with in this movie is the insidious host. you got to be this mom who's kind of evil a little bit, right? For these kids to come in here and start to realize something's wrong and something's not right. And I think her character has a really cool arc. Like how the evil gets involved in Laura's life is actually unique in a way that I didn't expect. I thought it was going to be some goofy, ham-handed thing at the end where there's like, I don't know. I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil it, but like it turns out to be a bit more subtle and a bit more clever, and I kind of really appreciated that. But I have trouble believing in Laura as like this mom who wants to do such bad because she's somebody who's so good at being good. And like I like Sally Hawkins a lot. I think her best work in here is the stuff where she's sweet and meaningful. I think the stuff that's clunky is when she's like trying to get Andy to do something he doesn't want to do, or like smacking one of these kids around, which, like you mentioned, lots of abuse in this movie, lots of hitting children, which I didn't expect. Some of it's like goofy and surprising and works as a jump scare on occasion. Other stuff is like so squirmingly, achingly disgusting. I could barely look at the screen. There's one scene in particular with Oliver in here. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It is so brutal, dog. I'm like writhing in my chair trying not to look at the screen because I was like, I can't look at this. Like, this is way too much. I think that stuff's used sparingly and effectively. It just seems like there's going to be so much more of it in the movie. In the trailers, it seems like it's going to be like, talk to me like we're going to another world and doing it. It's like way more subtle, way more. Bring Her Back is way more subtle than that. It's got its moments, but there's few peaks. It spends much more time down low in the bottom with the emotion of like losing someone, and the way that Laura connects with Andy over their shared loss of a loved one, and why they both have this similarity with water, like that's kind of unique, and like that they can have this connection together. And then Piper's a whole other thing. So yeah,
that's a good point. I forgot to mention, this is very important. Piper is blind. She is clinically blind. She can see shapes and colors, and the Philippou brothers do a great job of actually making you feel like her, where a lot of times when a character is introduced there, it completely out of focus, you can't really see them, and so you get to feel like Piper feels. There's an extremely important plot point, because then it means Piper doesn't really know what's going on a lot of the times because she can't see, and she can only use so much of her senses to know what's going on, and Sally Hawkins' character takes advantage of exactly that to kind of tilt the situation. So I really like the filmmaking of this. It's just, to me, again, some of the brutality was just like a little too much. It wandered into the torture porn area for me, and I felt nauseous for a lot of the film. And usually nothing gets to me, but it was just a little bit too much, and not necessarily in service of the story.
A couple other quick notes. I like the house that this is shot at and in.
Yes.
Like, it's got this triangular shaped pool in the back with like a shed. It's kind of claustrophobic. It's this odd shape. Like, it's just a clever shooting location to have a movie like this. And I don't know, just a good looking place. Like, I like that Piper's room is all like dressed up and done up, like it's because it's Charlie's room, like Laura's former daughter, right? And then Andy's like sleeping in the broom closet. And I like this crappy pop up, a door that doesn't close all the way. Like, subtle comedy, some good digs in there. And then I wanted to say, like, Danny and Michael Philippou seem to have, and I haven't seen much of their other work. I know they have a big YouTube channel, like, or they had one, and then they made Talk to Me, which I saw, and then this. I think these guys have a really interesting view of death and the afterlife. Maybe this is just a coincidence between these two movies, but like, it seems like there's nothing good at the end, and that maybe you should embrace life. Like, that's kind of their angle. Like, life is like, there's a lot of really beautiful shots in this movie. There's a great montage sequence where they're like playing outside in the rain. It's intercutting between this home video footage. Like, this idea that like the good times are here, and like we can all have a great life together here on Earth, like, and be kind to one another, is like a big theme when it runs under this idea that like, dude, there's nothing good after you die. Like, it is gross, black slime, disgusting, awful in both of these movies. So I don't know if this is a trend for them, if they're going to keep doing that. I don't know what to expect out of them next, because this one's a lot more emotional than I think Talk to Me was, but I liked it. I thought it was a good sophomore feature. It reminds me a little of like Jordan Peele's Us, and like, it's complex thematically and sometimes doesn't stick the landing in places for audiences, but like solid sophomore entry, I think. And like, any other thoughts or recommendations, Andy?
Well, I was gonna say I thought it was gonna be a little bit more focused on the afterlife or the supernatural, the ritual, and that's only a really small part of it. I wanted to mention a little bit about excuse me, the filmmaking. Uh, for example, Laura's talking about she has lost her daughter, and they asked what happened. She said, "Well, her daughter Kathy drowned," and then the very next shot is of her backyard with an empty pool, the pool that
Brutal.
presumably she drowned in, which has been since drained. So it's like, oh, it's just such a
Dude,
great
yeah.
smash cut to the next, and there's so much of that in this film. Like the filmmaking, I think is really excellent, and I'm excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, the idea that Laura has to live looking at that pool every day, like a literal hole in her heart outside made manifest, like that she can't get away from and escape, like crazy. Even like this circle that's drawn around the property in white, like it's there for a particular reason. You watch the movie, you'll find out. But like this visual idea of being trapped or like locked off in your own space, like, yeah, like there's a ton of really great themes and ideas in here. I just feel like I don't know. It can't be both. It can't be like this great emotional thing and also this brutal horror film. Like it's got to be one or the other. And I feel like it doesn't quite stick it either way. It ends up being this like amalgamation of the two. Yeah, that's Bring Her Back. I feel like I'm saying it's bad. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's a good time. I like Bring Her Back. But yeah, it's odd for sure. Anyway, recommendations, Andy? Would you recommend Bring
I'm
Her
ready.
Back?
I've actually told most people to pass on this because it is so brutal. There was someone who was going to see it the day I did, and I said maybe you might want to skip it just because I kind of knew their personal history a little bit. So I would say unless you're incredibly interested in it, it's going to be kind of a soft pass for me because it is so brutal. Positively, the performances are good, the filmmaking is good, just the story probably should have been dialed back a little bit, or the brutality could have been dialed back in service of the story more.
Yeah, I think I'd recommend it to horror heads, or like if you're a big Sally Hawkins fan and you're wondering why she hasn't done anything in a couple of years and wasn't in Paddington 3. I guess this was it. Solid. Like I think if you're in that camp, but yeah, if you're just looking for something casual, like I don't think this is quite it for you. It's got some lofty themes, big ideas playing around and Bring Her Back. And if you want something to analyze, spend a little time with, solid, I think. Content warning. Yeah, definitely some gross stuff going on for sure. Yeah, that's Bring Her Back. Not a bad picture. Not a bad picture by any means. Somebody got it fixed. Somebody's gonna be in the YouTube comments telling me I said it sucked. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's good. I really do. I think it's solid. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. We gotta talk about some trailers, some stuff coming up. What do we call this segment?
It's time for the trailer park.